Keep the envelope, the old man said. No one will ever know. Naomi Carter looked down at the thick, white envelope resting beside the untouched coffee. Then she looked at him. Outside the rain-streaked windows of Bellini's cafe, Manhattan moved beneath a gray November sky. Delivery bicycles cut through traffic. Yellow cabs hissed over wet pavement. People hurried beneath umbrellas as if kindness were another appointment they were already late for. Naomi had 12 deliveries remaining. Her phone battery was at 19%, and the rent was due tomorrow. She could not afford to be sitting here. The elderly man across from her appeared equally misplaced. His coat was worn at the elbows. His silver hair needed trimming. A paper cup of coffee trembled slightly between weathered hands. At least, that was what Naomi saw. What she could not see was the tiny camera hidden inside the button of his coat, or the black sedan parked across the street, or the man watching from its back seat. Ethan Whitmore, 38, founder and CEO of Whitmore Global. Net worth, $7 billion. And the owner of the building Naomi had entered 10 minutes earlier to deliver a $16 lunch order. Sir, Naomi said carefully, pushing the envelope back across the table. I think you've mistaken me for someone else. The old man smiled faintly. There's $10,000 inside. Naomi stopped. For one dangerous second, her eyes returned to the envelope. $10,000. For months of rent. Her mother's overdue dental treatment. The community college tuition she had postponed twice. A winter without checking her bank balance before buying groceries. Across the street, Ethan watched the monitor. Take it, he murmured. His security director glanced at him. You sound disappointed already. I'm being realistic. 3 delivery workers had already failed Ethan's private test that morning. One had pocketed a wallet deliberately left in the lobby. Another had accepted cash to ignore a supposedly confidential document. Ethan had built his empire by believing everyone had a price. Today, he intended to prove it. Naomi touched the envelope. Ethan leaned forward. Then she pushed it firmly toward the old man. No, his eyebrows rose. You need it. Naomi gave a tired smile. Needing something doesn't make it mine. The sentence reached Ethan through the hidden microphone. Something in his expression changed. The old man followed the script. What if I told you nobody would find out? Naomi stood and adjusted the insulated delivery bag over her shoulder. I would. Silence. Even Ethan's security director looked toward the screen. Naomi checked her phone. A new delivery notification flashed. She started toward the door, then stopped. The elderly man was struggling with his wallet. Without hesitation, Naomi returned. She placed $20 beside his coffee. For lunch. He stared at her. You're giving me money? You look like you need it more than I do. Across the street, Ethan Whitmore went completely still. This was not part of the test. Naomi hurried back into the rain. The old man touched his earpiece. Mr. Whitmore? Ethan did not answer immediately. He was watching Naomi climb onto an old delivery bicycle, pull her hood over her braids, and disappear into Manhattan traffic. Then his eyes dropped to the personnel report beside him. Naomi Carter, 29, delivery contractor. No criminal record. No corporate connections. Nothing remarkable. Yet something about that last line suddenly bothered him. Nothing remarkable. Ethan closed the file. Find out where she's going next. His security director frowned. The test is over. Ethan looked through the rain-covered window. No, for the first time that morning, the billionaire sounded uncertain. The test just became interesting. Why would a woman who needs money give $20 to a stranger? Ethan Whitmore asked the question twice. No one inside the black sedan answered. Through the rain-streaked window, Manhattan blurred into silver and amber as Naomi Carter disappeared between traffic lights on her battered delivery bicycle. Ethan had expected dishonesty. He understood dishonesty. It was predictable. Integrity was more complicated. Where is she going? He asked. His security director checked the tracking information. Whitmore Tower. Ethan turned. My building. 38th floor. Executive Legal Department. A faint smile touched Ethan's mouth. Interesting. 20 minutes later, Naomi entered Whitmore Tower carrying 3 paper bags and absolutely no idea that the billionaire she had just unknowingly disappointed was already upstairs. The lobby seemed designed to make ordinary people feel temporary. White marble, black glass, 30-foot ceilings. Employees in tailored suits moved beneath enormous abstract paintings without looking at one another. Naomi checked the delivery instructions. Floor 38. Reception. Ask for Mr. Reynolds. She entered the elevator. At the 42nd floor, Ethan stepped into another elevator wearing a simple navy jacket instead of his usual bespoke suit. No tie. No assistant. No security visible. Today, he would not be Ethan Whitmore, billionaire CEO. He would simply be Ethan, a man no one needed to impress. By the time Naomi reached the legal department, a receptionist was arguing with an elderly maintenance worker. You cannot leave that cart here. I'm fixing the conference room light. Then fix it somewhere else. Naomi slowed. The maintenance worker looked embarrassed. His cleaning supplies had spilled across the polished floor. Employees walked around him. No one stopped. Naomi placed the delivery bags on the reception desk, then crouched. Here. She began collecting the fallen bottles. The man looked surprised. You don't have to do that. I know. 3 words. Simple. Unperformed. From across the lobby, Ethan watched. Again. No camera this time. No staged envelope. No test. Just Naomi. The receptionist frowned. Miss, your delivery is already late. Naomi stood. It arrived 3 minutes early. The woman checked the screen. Her expression tightened. Naomi smiled politely. Have a good afternoon. She turned and collided directly with Ethan. Coffee splashed across his navy jacket. Naomi froze. Oh my God. Ethan looked down at the stain, then at her horrified face. I am so sorry. It's coffee. That is a very expensive-looking jacket. It was having too easy a life. Naomi blinked, then laughed. Not flirtatiously, not nervously. Honestly, Ethan found himself staring. Her deep brown skin glowed beneath the cool office lights. Rain still jeweled the edges of her braids. Fatigue lived beneath her eyes, but so did something steady, something untouched by circumstance. She grabbed napkins from the reception desk. Please, let me help. I'll survive. I hope so. I can't afford to replace billionaire clothing. Ethan's eyebrows lifted. You think I'm a billionaire? Naomi looked him over. No, for some reason. That amused him. What do you think I do? Consulting. Why? You have the expression. What expression? Like someone pays you to tell people things they already know. Ethan laughed. Actually laughed. Several employees turned. They recognized him immediately. Naomi noticed their faces. Then the receptionist stood abruptly. Mr. Whitmore. Naomi went still. Her gaze moved from the receptionist to Ethan, then to the enormous portrait displayed across the lobby's digital wall. Ethan Whitmore, founder and CEO. Her expression changed. You're him. Ethan extended his hand. Apparently, Naomi did not take it. Instead, she looked at the coffee stain on his jacket, then at the employees suddenly pretending not to watch. Oh, this is terrible. Ethan smiled. The coffee. My review. Before he could answer, her phone buzzed. Naomi checked it. Her smile vanished. Delivery contract suspended. Customer complaint under review. Ethan saw the message. Problem. Naomi locked the screen. No, but her voice had changed. For the first time that day, Ethan saw fear beneath her dignity. And suddenly, testing Naomi Carter no longer felt interesting. It felt cruel. You don't have to pretend you're fine just because everyone is watching. Ethan's words stopped Naomi before she reached the elevator. She turned slowly. Around them, Whitmore Tower continued its polished rhythm. Phones ringing, heels crossing marble, executives moving behind glass walls. Naomi glanced at the suspension notice on her phone. I'm not pretending. You're holding your breath. Her eyes narrowed. You notice too much. It's an occupational hazard. Being a billionaire? Being suspicious. The answer came too quickly. Naomi studied him. For one uncomfortable second, Ethan wondered if she could somehow see through everything. The old man, the envelope, the camera, the test. Then she looked away. It's probably a misunderstanding. Ethan extended his hand. May I? After hesitating, Naomi gave him the phone. The complaint stated that she had behaved unprofessionally during a delivery earlier that morning. Bellini's Cafe. Ethan's stomach tightened. His test. The staged encounter had triggered an automated customer complaint because his security team had flagged the delivery for internal review. Naomi was being punished for passing. Ethan handed back the phone. I can fix this. No, the word surprised him. You don't even know what I'm offering. I know who you are. And powerful men fixing things usually means somebody else owes them later. Ethan went still. There was no accusation in her voice. Only experience. I don't collect debts from strangers. Naomi gave him a tired smile. Then you're the first billionaire in New York. The elevator arrived. Before she could enter, the maintenance worker hurried toward them. Miss. Naomi turned. He held out a small leather wallet. You dropped this. She checked her jacket. That isn't mine. The receptionist approached. Her face changed when she saw it. My wallet. The maintenance worker handed it over. She opened it quickly. Cash. Cards. Everything intact. Then she looked at Naomi. I thought. Naomi understood. You thought I took it. No, it's okay. But Ethan heard what she did not say. It was not okay. The receptionist had watched Naomi kneel to help a stranger, then still found suspicion easier than gratitude. Ethan's expression cooled. Apologize. Naomi looked at him. Mr. Whitmore, he ignored her. The receptionist swallowed. I'm sorry, Miss Carter. Naomi nodded. Thank you. No triumph. No humiliation. She simply accepted the apology and stepped into the elevator. Ethan followed. The doors closed. You didn't have to do that, she said. Yes, I did. Why? Ethan stared at the changing floor numbers. Because 20 minutes ago, I secretly tested your honesty. Because I assumed poverty made integrity negotiable. Because I watched you like a laboratory experiment. Instead, he said, because she was wrong. Naomi studied his reflection in the elevator doors. And you're always right. No, for the first time, the answer cost him something. The elevator reached the lobby. Naomi stepped out. Her phone rang. She answered. Hello. Her expression changed instantly. What happened? Ethan watched the color drain from her face. I'm coming. She ended the call and ran toward the entrance. Naomi. She stopped. My mother collapsed at work. The words were controlled. Her hands were not. I need to get to Queens. Ethan looked outside. Rain had intensified. Her bicycle stood chained to a railing. I'll drive you. No, Naomi. I said no. Even frightened, she protected her independence. Ethan understood that now, so he changed the offer. Then consider me a man whose jacket you ruined and who happens to be going toward Queens. Despite everything, she almost smiled. You're terrible at lying. So I've recently discovered. 10 minutes later, Naomi sat beside him in the black sedan. Neither spoke. Then Ethan's phone illuminated. A message from his security director. Test subject, Naomi Carter. Background review complete. Naomi glanced down before Ethan could turn the screen away. Her eyes stopped on her own name, then slowly lifted toward him. What test? The silence between them changed. Ethan had spent years believing money revealed people. Now, looking into Naomi's wounded eyes, he realized his secret test had revealed someone after all. Him. You investigated me before you even knew me. Naomi's voice was quiet. That made it worse. Rain streamed across the sedan windows as Ethan stared at the message glowing on his phone. Test subject, Naomi Carter. There was no explanation elegant enough to make those words harmless. Yes. Naomi looked toward the driver. Stop the car. Your mother is waiting. Stop the car. Ethan signaled immediately. The sedan pulled beneath the awning of a closed bookstore. Naomi reached for the door. The old man. Ethan said nothing. Her hand stopped. The envelope was you. Yes. The $10,000? A test. She turned toward him. Not angry. Disappointed. Ethan discovered disappointment was harder to face. You thought because I deliver food, I might steal? I tested several people. That doesn't make it better. I know. No, you don't. Naomi's brown eyes held his. You gotta make me prove I was decent while hiding who you were. Then you followed me and watched what I did when I thought nobody important was looking. Ethan had negotiated billion-dollar disputes without losing control. Now he had no defense. I was wrong. Naomi opened the door, then paused. That $20 I gave your actor? He wasn't an actor. Retired employee. Doesn't matter. She stepped into the rain. I gave it because I thought he needed help. You watched it because you thought I needed testing. The door closed. Ethan sat motionless. His driver glanced into the mirror. Hospital, sir? Ethan looked through the window. Naomi was already running toward the subway entrance. No, he lowered his eyes. Follow at a distance. Make sure she gets there safely. She must not know. Then he corrected himself. Actually, don't. The driver waited. Ethan leaned back. She said no. For perhaps the first time in years, Ethan Whitmore allowed someone else's boundary to matter more than his ability to solve a problem. Naomi reached Queens General 40 minutes later. Her mother, Lorraine Carter, was awake. Exhaustion and low blood sugar, the doctor explained. Nothing immediately dangerous. Naomi sat beside her bed, holding her hand. You look worse than I do, Lorraine murmured. Naomi laughed weakly. Long day. Tell me. So Naomi did. The delivery. The envelope. The billionaire. The test. Lorraine listened. When Naomi finished, her mother squeezed her fingers. Rich people can become so afraid of being used that they forget suspicion can use people too. Naomi looked down. I don't want anything from him. Then don't take anything. Simple. Clear. Exactly what Naomi needed. Across Manhattan, Ethan sat alone in his penthouse office. On his desk rested the confidential background report. Naomi Carter. Income. Address. Education. Debt. Family history. Facts he had purchased without earning the right to know them. He fed the pages into the shredder, then called his security director. In the program. Sir. All integrity testing. Immediately. A pause. We've used it for 3 years. That doesn't make it right. Ethan ended the call. The next morning, Naomi arrived at the delivery company expecting termination. Instead, her account had been restored. No special payment. No unexplained bonus. Only a written notice admitting the suspension had been an administrative error. She read it twice, then noticed a man waiting outside. Ethan. Alone. No sedan. No security. He held a paper bag. Naomi stopped. What are you doing here? Returning something. He handed her $20. She stared at it. The man from the cafe refused to keep it. Naomi accepted the bill. Ethan stepped back. I also came to apologize without asking you to forgive me. That caught her attention. No job offer. No check. No secret test. A shadow of embarrassment crossed his face. Never again. Naomi studied him. For the first time, Ethan looked less like a billionaire than a man discovering that power could not purchase absolution. Then Naomi noticed the paper bag in his other hand. What's that? Breakfast. For me. For myself. He hesitated. But there are 2 coffees. Naomi almost smiled. Almost. And Ethan understood that if he wanted to discover who Naomi Carter truly was, there would be no more hidden cameras. This time, he would have to earn the privilege of knowing her. You don't have to keep showing up just because you feel guilty. Naomi stood outside the delivery office, holding one of Ethan's coffees while morning traffic rushed behind them. Ethan considered her words. What if guilt isn't why I'm here? Then your judgment is worse than I thought. He smiled. Naomi tried not to. Over the next 3 weeks, Ethan did something almost nobody at Whitmore Global believed possible. He stopped controlling the outcome. He did not offer Naomi a job. He did not send money to her mother. He did not arrange anonymous gifts. Instead, he appeared occasionally at Bellini's cafe. Sometimes Naomi joined him. Sometimes she didn't. He learned that she was studying business administration at night, 1 class at a time. She learned that Ethan hated olives, slept 4 hours too little, and remembered the names of employees everyone assumed he ignored. Their conversations became longer. The distance between them became smaller. But Naomi never allowed him to forget how they met. One afternoon, Ethan found her sitting outside a community center in Queens, surrounded by delivery workers. What's happening? Naomi looked up. Meeting. About. Us. She explained that delivery contractors were losing income because of an algorithm that penalized workers for delays without considering weather, restaurant wait times, or building security. Ethan listened. Then he recognized the software interface on one worker's phone. His expression changed. Who owns your delivery platform? Naomi folded her arms. You tell me, Billionaire. Whitmore Ventures had purchased a controlling stake 8 months earlier. Ethan had approved the acquisition. He had never examined the worker policies. The irony was immediate. He had secretly tested Naomi's integrity while his own company operated a system that judged thousands of workers without understanding their circumstances. What do you need? He asked. Naomi shook her head. Wrong question. What's the right one? What are you going to do now that you know? Ethan looked around. Men and women waited beneath fluorescent lights, phones in their hands, their livelihoods reduced to ratings and percentages. For once, he did not promise anything. He listened. 2 days later, Ethan called an emergency review. Executives filled the Whitmore boardroom. Naomi was not there. That mattered to him. He wanted the decision to remain right even when she could not see it. Remove automatic suspensions, Ethan ordered. His operations director frowned. That could increase fraud. Then investigate fraud. Don't automate punishment. It will cost millions. Ethan leaned back. So did the acquisition. Silence. Build a human appeals process. Add compensation for verified restaurant delays and severe weather. The director stared at him. What changed? Ethan thought of an envelope containing $10,000. A woman who needed it. And the $20 she gave away instead. I did. That evening, Naomi received an email announcing the policy changes. She read it twice. Then her phone rang. Ethan, you did this. We did this. No, her voice softened. I told you what was wrong. You chose what to do with it. Ethan stood beside the windows of his office, Manhattan glowing beneath him. Is that approval? Don't get excited. He smiled. Then Naomi became quiet. My mother asked about you. That sounds dangerous. She wants you to come to dinner. Ethan's smile disappeared. Dinner? Yes. With your mother? You sound more frightened than when your board threatened a lawsuit. I understand lawsuits. Naomi laughed. This time, neither of them rushed to end the call. Across the city, two people from worlds that should never have touched remained connected by silence that no longer felt uncomfortable. Ethan had begun by testing whether Naomi could be trusted. He had expected to discover her price. Instead, she had forced him to examine his own. And for the first time in years, the billionaire was beginning to understand that character was not revealed by what people did when secretly watched. It was revealed by what they chose to change after they finally saw themselves clearly. My mother says billionaires are just ordinary men with expensive ways of avoiding ordinary questions. Naomi said it as Ethan stood outside her apartment door holding a bottle of sparkling cider. Your mother sounds terrifying. She likes you already. That does not make me feel better. Naomi smiled and opened the door. The apartment was small, warm, and alive in ways Ethan's penthouse had never been. Family photographs covered one wall. A pot simmered in the kitchen. Old jazz played softly from a radio near the window. Lorraine Carter sat at the dining table. So, she said, studying Ethan. You're the man who tested my daughter. Ethan stopped. Naomi covered a laugh. Yes, ma'am. And I was wrong. Lorraine nodded. Good. Sit down. Dinner lasted 2 hours. Nobody asked about Ethan's net worth. Lorraine wanted to know whether he called his mother often. Naomi wanted to know why he hated olives. Ethan wanted to know how one family could argue over cornbread for 15 minutes and somehow sound affectionate. For the first time in years, he forgot to check his phone. Then it rang. His chief financial officer. Ethan ignored it. It rang again. Naomi noticed. You should answer. He did. Ethan, we have a problem. The board had discovered the delivery platform reforms would reduce projected quarterly earnings. Several directors wanted them reversed. Worse, someone had leaked photographs of Ethan and Naomi leaving Bellini's cafe. The headline was already spreading. Billionaire CEO changes company policy after secret meetings with delivery girl. Ethan's expression hardened. They're implying she influenced corporate decisions for personal reasons? They're implying more than that. Naomi had heard enough. What happened? Ethan ended the call. Someone photographed us. Her smile disappeared. Of course they did. I'll handle it. Naomi leaned back. There it is. What? The billionaire answer. Ethan frowned. I'm trying to protect you. By controlling everything? The room became quiet. Lorraine stood. I suddenly need to inspect my kitchen. She disappeared. Naomi lowered her voice. I won't become evidence in some argument about whether you're competent. You aren't. Then don't treat me like something that needs hiding. Ethan understood. The next morning, Whitmore Global's boardroom was full before he arrived. His operations director pushed a report across the table. Reverse the reforms. Profits recover immediately. Ethan did not touch it. Another director spoke. The press believes you changed policy because of Miss Carter. I changed it because the policy was wrong. They won't believe that. Ethan looked around the table. Then perhaps we have spent too long making decisions that are easier to explain to investors than to the people affected by them. Silence. A director leaned forward. Are you willing to risk your position over delivery contractors? Ethan thought of Naomi, then deliberately thought beyond her. Thousands of workers he would never meet. Yes. The vote was scheduled for Friday. That afternoon, Ethan went to Bellini's cafe. Naomi was already there. I heard about the board. News travels fast. You could lose control of your company. Possibly. She studied him. Don't do this for me. I'm not. That answer mattered. Ethan placed a folder between them. Naomi's expression tightened. What is it? Independent worker data. No surveillance. No personal files. Just numbers. She opened it. Complaint reversals. Weather delays. Unpaid waiting time. Thousands of cases. This proves the system was failing. Yes. Naomi looked at him. So what happens Friday? Ethan leaned back. They decide whether I'm still the man they hired to protect profits. And are you? He thought for a moment. No, Naomi's eyes softened. Ethan continued. I think I'm becoming the man who understands profits are supposed to serve a company, not become its conscience. Outside, evening settled over Manhattan. Naomi closed the folder. Then, for the first time, she reached across the table and took his hand. Not because he was powerful, not because he had fixed her life, because when nobody could guarantee the outcome, Ethan Whitmore had finally chosen to test his own character instead of hers. If they remove you today, will you regret changing the policy? Naomi asked the question at 7:12 Friday morning. Ethan stood alone inside his office, looking down at Manhattan through 42 floors of glass. No, he answered without hesitation. That surprised him. 3 months earlier, losing control of Whitmore Global would have felt like losing himself. Now the board was preparing to vote on his future, and Ethan felt strangely calm. Then walk into that room knowing you already made the important decision, Naomi said. You're not coming? This is your fight. Ethan smiled faintly. Thank you. For what? For not fighting it for me. The line went quiet. Then Naomi answered softly. You're learning. At 9, 12 directors gathered around the polished walnut table. Ethan entered alone. No presentation. No public relations team. No carefully rehearsed defense. His chief financial officer began. The delivery platform reforms have reduced short-term margins by 11%. Another director added, investor confidence has weakened because the changes appear connected to your personal relationship with Miss Carter. Ethan looked around the room. Then let's remove Naomi Carter from this conversation. He placed the independent worker report on the table. 43% of disputed suspensions reviewed under the new system were reversed. Thousands of contractors had previously lost income because an algorithm treated circumstances as misconduct. Silence. This policy was failing before I met Naomi. I simply wasn't paying attention. A director leaned forward. And that is supposed to reassure us? No, Ethan's gaze remained steady. It is supposed to hold me accountable. That answer shifted something in the room. Ethan continued. I built this company believing efficiency was neutral. It isn't. Systems reflect the priorities of the people who design them. His CFO folded his hands. Our responsibility is to shareholders. Yes. And a company that extracts value by treating workers unfairly eventually creates risk for shareholders too. The discussion lasted 90 minutes. Then came the vote. Ethan remained CEO. 7-5. No applause followed. He preferred it that way. But before the meeting ended, Ethan made one more announcement. Whitmore Global will establish an independent worker advisory council. Contractors will elect their own representatives. One director sighed. You really have changed. Ethan looked toward the rain beginning beyond the windows. Yes. Across town, Naomi was making a delivery when her phone filled with notifications. Whitmore CEO survives board challenge. Worker reforms to remain. She smiled. Then another message appeared. From Ethan. Still employed. Naomi typed back. Congratulations. Try working now. His reply arrived immediately. Coffee tonight. She stared at the screen longer than necessary. Then typed. 7. No tests. At 7, Ethan entered Bellini's cafe. No security. No hidden cameras. Naomi sat at their usual table. Between them rested the same kind of white envelope he had used the first morning. Ethan stopped. You're enjoying this. Sit down. He did. Naomi pushed the envelope toward him. What's this? A test. Ethan almost laughed. He opened it. Inside was $20. The same $20 the retired employee had returned. Ethan looked at her. Naomi smiled. You spent $10,000 trying to discover whether I had integrity. And you failed. I'm aware. She pointed toward the 20. That taught you more. Ethan understood. The money Naomi had given away when she believed nobody important was watching. The smallest amount in his experiment. The only amount that had actually mattered. He folded the bill and returned it. You keep it. Why? Because I don't need another reminder. Naomi raised an eyebrow. No. Ethan looked at her. I have you. Her smile faded into something quieter, more vulnerable. Careful, billionaire. I'm trying. For several seconds, neither spoke. Then Naomi reached across the table. This time Ethan met her hand halfway. Outside, Manhattan rushed past in rain and headlights. Inside, the billionaire who had once believed every person had a price sat across from the delivery woman who had proven something far more unsettling. Some people could not be measured by what they would take, only by what they were willing to give. And Ethan Whitmore was finally becoming one of them. You changed the company, Naomi said. Now prove the company can change without needing you in every room. 6 months later, Ethan Whitmore stood backstage at the Whitmore Global Annual Summit, staring at a stage he had crossed dozens of times. Usually, he opened with revenue, growth, acquisitions. Tonight, the first speaker was not Ethan. It was Naomi Carter. You're nervous, she said. I'm reconsidering several life choices. Naomi smiled. You survived a board revolt. Boards are predictable. And I'm not. Not remotely. She laughed. The sound still did something to him. Naomi was no longer delivering meals full-time. She had returned to college while serving as an elected representative on Whitmore Global's Independent Worker Advisory Council. Ethan had not appointed her. That had been her condition. If I'm there because you chose me, she had told him, nobody will know whether my voice matters without yours. So the workers voted. Naomi won overwhelmingly. When her name was announced, Ethan had been prouder than he had any right to be. Now she walked onto the stage before hundreds of executives, investors, employees, and contractors. Ethan remained behind the curtain, listening. A fair system, Naomi began, isn't one that assumes everyone is perfect. It's one that gives people a fair chance to be heard when the system gets them wrong. The room became still. She spoke about accountability without humiliation, efficiency without indifference, leadership without distance. She never mentioned the envelope. She did not need to. Ethan knew exactly where the lesson had begun. When Naomi finished, the audience rose. Not everyone, but enough. Ethan stepped onto the stage. Their eyes met. He did not embrace her, did not claim her moment. He simply offered his hand. Naomi shook it. Equals. That mattered more than applause. Later that evening, reporters gathered outside the ballroom. One shouted, Mr. Whitmore, is Miss Carter the reason you changed? Months earlier, Ethan might have given a polished answer. Tonight, he stopped. No, Naomi looked toward him. She was the reason I noticed I needed to. The reporter continued. Are you two together? Naomi raised an eyebrow. Ethan almost smiled. That question belongs to us. Then he walked away. No performance. No ownership. Outside, Manhattan glittered beneath a clear winter sky. Naomi joined him on the terrace. You handled that well. I had excellent training. Expensive. $20. She laughed. Then her expression softened. My mother likes you. I remain concerned about that. She says you listen differently now. Ethan looked through the glass at his employees. Do I? Yes. Naomi paused. But don't get comfortable. I wouldn't dare. She stepped closer. Good. For months, Ethan had wondered when he would know he had earned her trust. Now he understood trust did not arrive like a contract. There was no signature. No final approval. Only moments. Choices. Consistency. Naomi slipped her hand into his. Ethan looked down at their joined hands. Then at her. I spent years testing people because I was afraid they wanted something from me. And now I'm more interested in what I can become around people who ask me to be better. Naomi's eyes softened. Inside, the summit lights glowed against the glass. Outside, they stood without cameras, employees, or witnesses. And that was exactly why the moment mattered. Ethan had once needed hidden cameras to discover someone's character. Now, when nobody was watching, he leaned toward Naomi and whispered the simplest truth his billions had never taught him. You changed everything. Naomi shook her head gently. No, Ethan. She squeezed his hand. You finally decided to change yourself. A year ago, I thought integrity was something you could measure, Ethan said. I was wrong. It's something you choose when there is nothing to gain. 12 months after Naomi Carter walked into Bellini's cafe carrying a delivery bag and an exhausted smile, Ethan stood in the same place. The cafe had barely changed. Same scratch tables. Same fogged windows. Same smell of coffee and warm bread. Naomi entered wearing a navy coat over the clothes she had worn to her final college presentation. Ethan stood. Well, She stared at him solemnly. I failed. His face fell. Then Naomi smiled. Highest score in the class. Ethan exhaled. You're cruel. I learned from a man who secretly tested strangers. I deserve that. Yes, you do. She sat across from him. No delivery bag this time. Naomi had graduated that morning with her business degree. She still served on the Worker Advisory Council, but she had recently accepted a position with an independent nonprofit focused on fair employment practices. Not Whitmore Global. Ethan had offered nothing, and that had become one of the greatest signs of how much he had changed. You ordered already? She asked. 2 coffees. And Ethan pushed a white envelope across the table. Naomi stared at it. You cannot possibly be serious. Open it. If there's $10,000 inside, I'm leaving. There isn't. She broke the seal. Inside was a single $20 bill. Naomi looked up. The same one. The same one. Months earlier, she had returned it to Ethan as a reminder of the morning everything began. Now, beneath the bill, she found a handwritten note. She read silently. Naomi, you once gave this away because you believed someone needed it more than you did. I spent years thinking wealth revealed character. You taught me character reveals what wealth is for. Her expression softened. She continued. The Whitmore board approved a permanent independent fund for emergency assistance to delivery contractors. No publicity campaign. No naming rights. Worker representatives control it. Naomi looked at him. You did this without telling me. You told me the company needed to change without me controlling every room. And the board agreed? Eventually. How eventually? For meetings. Naomi laughed. Then her eyes grew serious. I'm proud of you. Ethan had received awards from presidents, universities, financial institutions. None had ever sounded like that. Thank you. Later, they walked through Manhattan beneath the first snow of winter. No security followed closely. No hidden camera watched. No test waited around the corner. At a crosswalk, Naomi slipped her hand into his. Ethan smiled. What? Nothing. That is billionaire language for something. He stopped beneath the glow of a street lamp. A year ago, I followed you because I wanted to know what kind of person you were. Naomi raised an eyebrow. Still creepy. Deeply, she smiled. Ethan continued. I discovered you were honest when nobody was watching. Kind when nobody rewarded you. Proud without being cruel. Strong without needing anyone beneath you. Naomi's expression changed. And what did you discover about yourself? That I had spent so much time protecting myself from being used that I had forgotten how easily power can use other people. Snow settled softly on his dark coat. Naomi squeezed his hand. And now, Ethan looked toward Bellini's glowing windows behind them. Now I ask before I assume. Progress. I listen before I fix. Impressive. And I never test delivery girls. Naomi laughed. Excellent policy. They continued walking. Ethan had begun their story believing he was secretly examining Naomi Carter. But the envelope, the $20, the suspended account, the workers, the boardroom, and every difficult conversation afterward had revealed a different truth. Naomi had never needed to prove her worth. Ethan had needed to confront his own. And the greatest discovery of his billionaire life was not that one delivery girl could not be bought. It was that dignity had no price, trust had no shortcut, and love became real only when two people were finally free to meet without power standing between them.